LocalBozo.com is proud to have with us as our guest for an exclusive interview, frontman of Black Label Society and legendary rock guitarist, Zakk Wylde. Zakk, how's it going today, man?
Just sitting there hanging out, man, knocking out the Black Label Blitzkrieg Press of Doom, New York City.
Zakk, let's talk first about the new album from Black Label Society. It's called Catacombs of the Black Vatican. Where did the name of this album originate?
Well, originally it was called Please Buy This Album, because now we just had another child that we'll probably have to put through college. And we need as much money as possible. That was the original title. It was kind of long, so then we changed it to, the Black Label Technicolor Dreamcoat Masterpiece Theater. And then that was kind of too long. And we couldn't find the Technicolor Dreamcoat for the front album cover, so we couldn't find that. And then we just felt that this was the most dance-orientated, jazzercise album. We put out the date, so that's what we came up with the album.
I'm sure you've been asked that question probably 50 times over the last few days, and I'm sure all your answers are different too, and that's fine. But
well, actually, I mean, the name of the studio is the Black Vatican, right? So that's why I named, because it was the guest house, and then we turned it into the studio, and then I painted the house black, right? And my barber Ann with the Immortal Beloved was like, "Oh, what are you painted it black?" Well, like Anton LaVey's, with the Black House or whatever. I go, he goes, "What are you, 12 years old?" I go, "No, I'm 13." And I'm 13 years old. I'm in my teens now. And also, the name of the band is not Brown Label Society. It's Black Label Society. And if you were married to Jimi Hendrix, this house would be painted purple. So let's just lighten up. So that's why it's been the Black Vatican. So we just, so it's, Catacombs of the Black Vatican.
Now, you said recently that this record is basically an extension of the previous albums in your catalog, but look, it's been 4.5 years since your last release. It's almost 5 years later. Let's talk about the new record. How satisfied are you with it, and what can longtime fans expect from it?
In between the 4 years, I don't sit around stockpiling riffs and recording stuff and making demos and all this. I just don't do that. I mean, the whole thing is if I'm going to literally, the only thing I'll do is I'll write. The only writing I really usually do when I'm home, I'll sit behind the piano when I wake up in the morning, have some Valhalla Java, and write, like Eagles, Neil Young type stuff or Elton stuff when I'm sitting on the piano. And but because obviously it dictates what usually the instruments you're playing will dictate what kind of frame of mind or what mood you're in when you start jamming it. But or when we're in a submarine when we're out touring, I'll usually be the last one down, first one up to make Valhalla Java for the rest of the Doom crew, and I'll just sit there, running morning scales while I'm having a cup of coffee, and then if I'm writing something, it'll be in the vein of especially on acoustic, whether it's you're writing like Sweet Melissa or some Creedence or Bob Seger-esque or Eagles or Neil Young, you know what I mean? Because you're on an acoustic guitar, so. But I'll have the ideas kind of stockpiled, but I won't have any lyrics or anything like that. I might have ideas for melodies and stuff like that. But when we got off the Gigantour, though, because usually when we're touring, we're just touring and touring and touring, and it's like a well-oiled machine at that point. But because we don't do sound checks and stuff like that, because I'm taking care of your guitars while you're off doing other things. I know exactly what the rig's supposed to sound like when it's up there and what you want out of your monitor. So I'll get it sounding the same every night. So it doesn't matter, but and if it isn't the same, it's in the same zip code. You know what I mean? But so the whole thing is, it's not like we're writing at sound checks either. So usually when we get home after the 4 years we've been touring, and it's just after the Gigantour, which was a blast. So we get home, I was like, Barb, how much time do the fellas get out here when we start working? Oh, the guys will be out here in about 25 days. I'm like, all right, well, cool. That means I got 25 days to write a record.
Wow.
So, and that's how it goes. So, it's just I'll just be like, well, Greg, you might as well start writing, brother. The guys will be out here in a little bit over 3 weeks. And, every day, just pick up the guitar, go in the garage. I just sit there, crank my, I have my Marshall JCM 2000, and it has the Verb on it and that distortion button on it, so it sounds like the heaviest at a low volume. And I just put on this octave pedal, and so the riffs just sound gigantic. And, it sounds like you're playing in Madison Square Garden all by yourself, and I'll just start pounding out riffs. And then, you just keep digging until you get something that you dig. You know what I mean? And and then after that, take a break for a while, walk away from it, and then come back and jam some more. If you get something, great. If you don't, don't worry about it. You just keep jamming some more later on, and hopefully you'll pull something out of your ass. You know what I mean? And so that's the way it goes. And then then the guys came out for 2 weeks, and then we jammed all the stuff. And like, as far as rehearsing the songs, it's just like I'll show it to Chad, and I'm going, Chad, this is how it's going to go. This is how the intro will go. Like, let's say if it's a whole lot of love, I'll just go. I'll start with the riff, and then I said JD's going to come in. Then I'm going to come in with a vocal line, and then. Right before the chorus, then you just come in with the drums, like a big drum fill. Love, we'll come in. It's like, okay, cool. Then I'm playing this. And then I'll go, this section we're just going to stop, and then we'll do like a big, like it's going to go on for a while. Just like, just keep hitting the hi-hat, and it's like, we'll do something there. You know what I mean? It's just a bunch of sounds and stuff like that. And then, a big drum fill, and then we'll do the that. It'll be a guitar solo. And, then we come out of that guitar solo thing, and it'll just then I'm back into the verse. And then it's just 2 sections, like a verse part and a chorus. It's like, all right, cool. Let me just play it. We'll play it a couple times. Like he'll play like drums on his lap while he's sitting right next to me. And then he'll go into the drum room, and then I'm looking at him through the glass. And he's like, all right, cool. Let's record this thing. And that's how it's done. I mean, we don't sit there like practicing for 6 weeks on these friggin' songs. I mean, it's not like we're doing Mahavishnu here. I mean, they're rock songs, man.
You mentioned waking up in the morning, sitting down at a piano, and playing some cover tunes. Back in June, you played a handful of acoustic shows at the Iridium here in New York City with the Les Paul Trio. We were there, and it was absolutely exceptional. But you touched on a lot of covers from Jimi Hendrix to Marshall Tucker to Mountain. In August, you released a killer cover of Bill Withers' Ain't No Sunshine. Each of these songs come from such a variety of styles of music. How fulfilling is it for you to have the opportunity to sort of show that side of your guitar playing and singing when you're performing these covers?
No, without a doubt, I love it. Well, all the artists you're talking about, I love all of them. So I mean, it's definitely way cool, man. I mean, and it's always fun, when you're doing the covers by any of your favorite artists or bands and stuff like that. So I enjoy doing all of it, man.
Now, the band recently had a change in guitarist. Nick Catanese stepped away, and Lizzie Borden's Dario Lorena joined the band. What do you think Dario brings to Black Label Society, and do you want to talk about the change?
Yeah, well, I mean, Nick's, just wants to put 1,000% into his new stuff, and then, I love Nick, man. Nick's been with me before Black Label started, so, Nick will always he'll have a home here, and, this is, so it's no big. I mean, the unique thing about Black Label, once you're in, you always have a home here, I mean, so, as far as that goes, we all love Nick and we support him and hope, he just kicks ass while he's doing what he's doing now. So, but, Dario, how we ended up getting Dario in the band, Blasco knew about him and he just said, here, Zakk, check out this kid Dario. He's out in Las Vegas. So we checked out the video and obviously he can play his ass off. So, next was just like, well, why don't we just fly him out to the Vatican? We can meet him and just, see if he's a cool dude or whatever. So, flew him out to the Vatican, met him, and me and Blasco were there, and I said, well, we had him do a Chippendales routine. And after he was done with the routine, I asked him, I just said, is that a spray-on tan or is that a real tan you have? And he said, no, it's a real tan. And that's when I just looked at Blasco, and I said, obviously he's committed to the project. And so, right there, we knew he was the guy for the gig. So, so that's usually how, the process goes through becoming a Black Label member.
After the album drops in April, can we expect a full U.S. run of touring on the new record?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, the whole world, obviously. I mean, like the last album, we were out for over 3 years. So, I mean, back in the early days of Black Label, I mean, obviously the first, we've been around 15 years now. I mean, but the first batch of years, it was just like album tour, like once a year. We were making them that fast. So, I mean, which I didn't mind either. I mean, because, I love working. So, but I mean, now that we've had, like these 4-year gaps in between the records. I mean, I'm digging this too because it obviously gives the album a chance to have some life. You know what I mean? So, I mean, because a lot of times back then, the album would be out, we'd come back around, and it'd be like, we didn't even, oh, did you hear the new record yet or whatever? They're like, Zakk, I didn't even know you had a record out, man. Just because the turnover was so quick,
Absolutely, but as you mentioned, you've certainly been keeping yourself busy. Which brings me to the Experience Hendrix Tour. You'll be heading out for a short stint in the spring with the likes of Buddy Guy, Kenny Wayne Shepherd, Johnny Lang, and Billy Cox. How did you get tapped for this run of shows, and what does it mean for you to be a part of the Experience Hendrix tour?
No, I mean, I'm fans of, all the guys that are on it. So, for me, it's going to be great seeing all the guys throwing down. So, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to that. And then obviously the book run with the Canadian, once we go and roll with our Canadian Black Label family, and then when I'm going to do the Metal All-Stars over in Europe, rolling with a bunch of buddies over there. So that's going to be a blast. So I'm really looking forward to all three of them. And then, right after that, and obviously we're going to have, it's awesome to have enough time in between, because once we start doing the Black Label thing, it's just like I have zero time to do anything else. You know what I mean? So it's definitely cool having a chance to do the Hendrix Experience thing. So because I've always wanted to do it in the past, but there was never any. You manage me. You either got me over in Europe or whatever, and you know how it is. You book these things like 6-7 months ahead of time. You know what I mean?
You're a local guy, having grown up in Bayonne, New Jersey. Talk about what it was like for you to grow up here in the New York, New Jersey music scene, and to have now made a name for yourself to be able to perform in New York City.
Well, I mean, it's just like, it's definitely New York. I mean, as far as the music scene in New York, I remember, obviously I know it was always a big jazz thing, you know what I mean? But, I mean, being in Jersey, I mean, we never really came up. I mean, I come up to the city every now and then to see my cousins and stuff like that. We're from Jersey City. But, I mean, I love New York City. I could definitely live up here for sure. But, it's just like, no, whenever I come home, it's always a blast because I always run into old friends and stuff like that. People, especially obviously in Jersey, a bunch of my buddies I went to school with, so it's definitely cool.
Last thing, Zakk, we heard you recently on the Artie Lang show. I know you're a huge sports fan. We're taping this before championship weekend, but who do you like to get to the big game in New Jersey on February 2nd at MetLife Stadium, and who do you think is going to win?
Well, I'd have to say, then if we got to say it right now, I guess Seattle, Denver, Super Bowl, and maybe Peyton walks away with that ring.
Awesome, Zakk.
Which wouldn't be bad for Peyton because we as football fans he's a class act and the guy's a Hall of Famer, so I mean he's a fan favorite. Everybody digs him.
Zakk, I can't thank you enough for your time today. Is there anything else for the readers of localbozo.com?
Just tell everybody at the Local Bozo to stay strong, keep bleeding black, and God bless.
Fans, Catacombs of the Black Vatican, the brand new album from Black Label Society, is released on April 7th wherever you buy your rock music. You can catch the band on tour in the spring, and we've been talking to the iconic rock guitarist Zakk Wylde here at localbozo.com. Thanks so much for listening, and make sure to check out Zakk Wylde when he comes to your area.
Right back at you, Father Greg. I'll talk to you in a bit, my brother.